Hebrews. This is our Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sabbath class, the 7th of May, 2022. We're going to be dealing with the restoration of worship uh, with Israel then and now. What happened then is going to happen now. So we're going to go into that and break that down. We'll be dealing with some Apocrypha books, and we'll be dealing with Ezra and what happened when the worship was restored when they came back from Babylon. So with that being said, I want to ask everybody to like, share, subscribe to Prophets of Awakening channel. Hit the notification button, please. And this is a non-Messianic channel, uh, Old Testament only, which is the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai by our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. So shalom and welcome to our Sabbath class, and welcome to Prophets of Awakening. We're going to do our moment of silence, our Sabbath prayer, Psalms, and little current events, and a little need-to-know information. And then we'll do a little Q&A and go into our Bible reading. Okay? So this moment of silence is for Yahweh and our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts, and all that they're doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay? Oh Lord, we come before thee at the beginning of your Sabbath day, thanking you for mercy and your mercy and great power. And we appreciate you, O Lord, for your patience and guidance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank you for your awakening us up to this great understanding of your word. We come before you that you keep, direct, and guide us through the upcoming week, oh Lord, and for there are trials, pestilence, and mayhem at every turn. And we see your mighty hand in the world's affairs and how you are constantly destructing your people's deliverance. And we trust and rely upon thee. And for this cause, we honor and respect you greatly. Turn not thy face from us, but allow us in that searching of you to find you, O Lord, and to dwell with you. Peace be unto you. Okay. We'll read the song. Okay. Okay. I'm going to read Psalm 31. In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. This is a Psalm of David. He says, in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be ashamed. Deliver me in thy righteousness. Bow down thine ear to me. Deliver me speedily. Be thou my strong rock, for a house of defense to save me. For thou art my rock and my fortress. Therefore, for thy name's sake, lead me, guide me, pull me out of the net that they have laid previously for me. For thou art my strength. In thine hand I commit my spirit. Thou hast redeemed me, O Lord, God of truth. I have hated them that regard lying vanities, but I trust in the Lord. I will be glad and rejoice in thy mercy, for thou hast considered my trouble. Thou hast known my soul in adversity, and hast not shut me up into the hand of the enemy. Thou hast set my feet in the Lord's room. Have mercy upon me, O Lord, for I am in trouble. Mine eye is consumed with grief, yea, my soul and my belly. For my life is spent with grief, and my years with sighing. My strength faileth because of mine iniquity, and my bones are consumed. I was a reproach among all mine enemies, but especially among my neighbors, and a fear to mine acquaintance. They that did see me without fled from me. I am forgotten as a dead man, out of mind. I am like a broken vessel. For I have heard the slander of many. Fear was on every side. While they took counsel together against me, they devised to take away my life. But I trusted in thee, O Lord. I said, Thou art my God. My times are in thy hand. Deliver me from the hands of my enemies and from them that persecute me. Make thy face to shine upon thy servant. Save me for thy mercy's sake. Let me not be ashamed, O Lord, for I have called upon thee. And let the wicked be ashamed, and let them be silent in the grave. Let the lying lips be put to silence, which speak grievous things proudly and temptuously against the righteous. Oh, how great is thy goodness, which thou hast laid up for them that fear thee, which thou hast wrought for them that trust in thee before the sons of men. Thou shalt hide them in the secret of thy presence from the pride of man. Thou shalt keep them secretly in a pavilion from the strife of tongues. Blessed be the Lord, for he hath showed me his marvelous kindness in a strong city. For I said in my haste, I am cut off from before thine eyes. Nevertheless, thou heardest the voice of my supplication, and I cried unto thee. O love the Lord, all ye his saints, for the Lord preserveth the faithful, and plentifully reward the proud doers. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart, all ye that hope in the Lord. That's Psalms 31. It's in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Psalm of David. Okay, any comments on that? Okay, yeah, so he says, in verse 22, I said in my haste, I am cut off from before thine eyes. Nevertheless, thou heardest the voice of my supplications when I cried unto thee. O love the Lord, all ye his saints, for the Lord preserveth the faithful, and plentifully reward the proud doers. Good song. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go into some current events. Anybody got any current events they want to bring up? Okay, if not, I got, I think, two right here I can deal with. Okay, here we go. First one is, okay. Mm-hmm.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am sounding the alarm once again. Right now, a water shortage emergency is being called in Southern California. They have declared an unprecedented water shortage emergency. So, we are definitely in those times that were spoken of in scripture where things are going to look just like they're looking. And all around the world, we are seeing something in every corner. I noticed that there was a video I did recently where someone said that they moved to a certain region so that they can avoid tornadoes. But when you go to another area to avoid one thing, there's something else in that area that you're going to. In other words, every point of the planet has something that they're dealing with, whether it's droughts, tornadoes, hurricanes, you name it, something is happening. Something is happening in every region. And wherever there's droughts, there are the wildfires. But right now, we are talking about what is going on in Southern California. So I'm going to share a bit of that information with you because it is quite alarming. Quite alarming. So,
look, if you haven't claimed your free 72-hour survival food kit, time is running out. We keep running out of our bigger kits for weeks at a time, but right now we can still ship 72-hour survival.
The article goes on to say that there are 6 million Southern California residents who are facing unprecedented water restrictions. Okay. It says Southern California officials took unprecedented measures this week to restrict water usage to 6 million residents amid the state's unrelenting drought. We keep hearing this year after year after year. It seems like the droughts are getting worse, not just in California, but period, worldwide. The droughts are getting worse, and so are the wildfires. So, anyway, it says the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California declared a water shortage emergency and implemented an emergency water conservation program for the first time in its history on Tuesday. These measures mandate residents and businesses across portions of Los Angeles, San Bernardino, and Ventura counties to slash water usage by 20 to 30%. The drastic cuts limit outdoor watering to 1 day per week. So that is awful if you have an orchard, if you're farming out in that region. 1 day a week in scorching heat can literally destroy crops. So these are the things that have been spoken of in scripture. These perilous times are definitely here. We're seeing them all over the place. Okay, so it says the extreme measures, while approved on Tuesday, will not take effect until June 1st, according to City News Service, a Southern California based news agency. Agencies that are supplied with water by MWD and fail to enforce the restrictions among their customers will be subject to fines up to $2,000 per acre, wow, foot of water that exceeds the mandates. So I can imagine that some people are probably stockpiling their water right now before June 1st. And what I mean by that, if they have a way to pump it and store it, I bet some people are doing just that. This is frightening stuff, y'all, because according to biblical prophecy, things are going to go from bad to worse. See, right now we might be living in what we consider a doable time period, but what happens when it's no longer doable? So back to the article, y'all. So it says, so what led to such drastic cuts? Experts say the restrictions have been years in the making. See, this is what I was talking about. It's getting worse and worse each year. It says record breaking drought conditions over the past 3 years have resulted in historically low water levels in California's reservoirs, the lifeblood of the state's water supply. Many are running significantly below their historical average for capacity. And so, yeah, we are definitely living in some strange and frightening times. No one can deny that. Um, and to say it is what it is, I mean, of course, it is what it is, but it certainly makes you want to.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on that? Okay.
I'm wondering if that has anything to do with all the wildfires they've been having out there for the last, few years. But
Yeah, dried up.
right,
Mm-hmm. They got those winds, they got all those strong winds out there, and then everything already dry and brittle. So it's in California already known for those fires. So it just all they did was intensify it because of the drought. Okay, what else you saying?
no, I was just saying that the residents should have been, expecting that to be happening soon in the forecast. With, like I said, all the wildfires that's out there, and plus, so much is changing now. You never know what they have in the works. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I just, was saying that with all the wildfires that was happening in the last few years, it seems like they would have been warning the people of the, restrictions before now. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. Just all of a sudden springing on them.
Right, exactly.
Okay, yeah, well that makes sense. I'm quite sure they was looking at it and seeing the symptoms. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah. What's up, Mike? Okay. We got some need to know information right here. Okay. We was talking about this a little bit last night on Clubhouse about how they downplaying what's going on in Africa. So I'm gonna play this.
In this video, we're going to be looking at the East African Federation, a proposed new federated sovereign country currently composed of 7 sovereign states. They include Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, South Sudan, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, who recently joined on April 2022. The African Federation is clearly one of the largest countries in the world and contender for the first African superpower. Hello my YouTube family, welcome to the channel on Africa's development content. But first, dear friends, before you get out of that plane, please take a moment to like and subscribe on our channel so that you don't miss out on our exciting videos. Anyway, let's jump into the features of the East African Federation. The benefits of forming such a state would be numerous. Firstly, and most clearly, it would give landlocked nations like Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and South Sudan access to the sea. With the Somalian coast to the north and Mozambican coast to the south, the East African Federation would offer the most politically stable access to key maritime trade routes on Africa's east coast. And recently, with the joining of the DRC, access would also be easy on Africa's west coast. Additionally, an economic union would facilitate internal trade and commerce between coastal regions and the densely populated Great Lakes region. The EAF would be one of the largest countries in Africa, both in terms of population and land mass. It would be distanced from political strife in the West and would be surrounded largely by relatively weak neighbors. With a population of 281,050,447 as of March 2022, it would also be the most populous nation in Africa and fourth in the world. Its population would be greater than that of Russia, Japan, Mexico, and Indonesia, behind only China, India, and the United States. It would theoretically be in pole position to become a regional great power. While the official language would be English, Swahili has been proposed as official lingua franca. Kinshasa would be the most populous city in the proposed federation by city limits and metropolitan area, with Dar es Salaam second by population within city limits, and Nairobi second by population in the metropolitan area. The proposed capital is Arusha, a city in Tanzania close to the Kenyan border, which is also the current headquarters of the East African Community. The Union's proposed currency would be the East African shilling, which according to a 2013 published report is slated to become the common currency of 5 of the 7 member countries by December 2023. The GDP estimate would be $277 billion and be the 34th largest in the world and the 4th largest in Africa, following Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa. The attribution of superpower status to this new giant country is not mistaken. East Africa has consistently been the fastest growing region in Africa in recent decades from 2010 until the pandemic. Uganda averaged 5% annual GDP growth, Kenya and Tanzania about 6%, and Rwanda about 7%, making Rwanda one of the fastest growing countries in the world. As a whole, the East Africa Federation's GDP excluding South Sudan grew an impressive 118% from $127 billion in 2010 to about $277 billion in 2021. For context, that would amount to an impressive average compound growth rate of 7.5%. If the East African community continues on this path of rapid growth or increases growth, then our new country would become a relatively wealthy country and possibly the next African superpower. The bond between the states is very strong and promising. It dates back to the early 1960s. Around that time, Kenya, Tanganyika, Uganda, and Zanzibar were gaining independence from the United Kingdom. The political leaders of the 4 nations had become interested in forming a federation. Julius Nyerere even offered in 1960 to delay the imminent independence of Tanganyika, due in 1961, in order for all of the East African territories to achieve independence together as a federation.
I was driving.
In June 1963, Kenyan Prime Minister Jomo Kenyatta met with the Tanganyikan President Julius Nyerere and Ugandan Prime Minister Milton Obote in Nairobi. The trio discussed the possibility of merging their three nations. Fast-tracked to 1999, the leaders of Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania signed the treaty for the establishment of the East African Community. The EAC had a four-step plan. First, a customs union, second, a common market, third, a monetary union, and fourth and finally, a political federation. In 2005, the countries agreed on the first step, which was the customs union. Its main objective was to remove tariffs on imports and exports among members, and set a common external tariff to non-members, while setting up a groundwork for national integration of the future state. In 2007, Rwanda and Burundi joined the treaty, and in 2010 these five countries agreed on a plan for a common market with a free trade area and harmonized regulations. The common market has helped so far in enhancing food security, as well as joint programs for efficient and effective production. Although all these progress have been made, there are still some hurdles that have to be fixed as concerns the common market. For example, Kenya has locked out Ugandan timber, milk, sugar, and maize because it would undercut Kenyan farmers. Anyway, when it comes to the monetary union, which would essentially involve these seven countries all using the same currency, there has been some progress, but there is still a way to go yet. In 2013, all countries in the EAC apart from South Sudan agreed to progressively converge their currencies by harmonizing fiscal and monetary policies. Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania and Rwanda now present their budgets simultaneously every June. Unfortunately, a currency union still looks difficult for two reasons. The first being that each country still has its own unique currency, and the second is that each currency has experienced wildly different exchange rate fluctuations, which means convergence.
Yeah, so that's the East African Federation that I was just playing, and you got to know, just looking at those images, is that it's people flocking over there. They're leaving here, not only just African Americans, but all the races of people too, Caucasians, they're flocking over there. So, totally different experience. Any comments on that? Okay, yeah, so with that being said, I was gonna play this, I was gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody got any questions or comments about anything that we talked about on Clubhouse or StreamYard over the past week or so? Or anything they read?
No, nothing that I read, but I just, have a question concerning this. And this was a discussion that I heard on Clubhouse that, excuse me, they were saying that they believe that the Lord has given other nations a different God to worship because they were not chosen. So how do you feel about that?
But that goes back to the time of Peleg, where the earth was divided up. And what they mean by the earth was divided up was because of the Tower of Babel and what the people was doing. He divided the earth up with these wicked angels. But his land, the land of the Mount Zion and all that region right there, was given to Michael. That's why in Isaiah, you begin to find out once you get to Revelation on the difference in the Old and New Testament. You find out that it's the God that's over Israel is an angel, and that he was given that. He inherited that from the Lord of hosts. But let me get it. It says Genesis chapter 10. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So chapter 10 says, and starting in verse 21, it says, Under Shem, father of all the children of Eber, his brother Japheth the elder, even unto him children were born. Children of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mesh. Arphaxad begot Shelah, and Shelah begot Eber. Then Eber, unto Eber was born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg. It says, and in his days the earth was divided, right, in his brother. So it means that takes you to Tower of Babel. Let me get it. Tower of Babel. It says, it said Tower of Babel. The whole earth was one language. Right there, everybody was speaking Hebrew. The angels speaking Hebrew. Everybody was speaking Hebrew, one speech. And it came to pass, they journeyed from the east, and they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go, let us make brick, burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, slime for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make it a name, lest we be scattered abroad over the whole face of the earth. So right here, because they had one language, they was able to do this. Then 5. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which children of men had built it. And the Lord said, Behold, me and the people is one, at one language. They have all one language, right? This be and they begin to do. And now therefore now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. And then verse 7, Go to, let us go down. He's talking to the other 6 angels. And they'll confound their languages, that they may not understand one another's speech. So right here, this way he scattered them. And then when he scattered them amongst these angels and gave them different shepherds over them, different angels over different nations. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of the earth, and they left off from building the tower. Therefore the name of it's called Babel, because the Lord fears to confound their languages over all the earth. And from thence they scattered them abroad from the face of the earth. So this is when the earth was divided up. It was given to different angels, given different regions. Right? And so that's why that Isaiah was saying in Isaiah was saying in chapter 8 and verse 18 says,
That was Isaiah, you said?
Isaiah 8 and verse 18.
Okay.
Isaiah says, Behold, I and the children of the Lord have given me. And so we're trying to figure out who the Lord is. All for signs and wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth at Mount Zion. So he dwelled at Mount Zion. We know this in Yahweh, he dwelled at Mount Zion because that's the region that was given to him when the earth was divided up. Lord of hosts, Michael. He was given that region. This where Abraham was directed to Moses. He guided Moses out of Egypt to this area where he at. And then when Moses got there, he went up on the mount, and the angel was there on the bush, lit on the bush. Then he told him what he wanted him to do. And not only that, he went before it, Moses, and showed up in Egypt with Moses and shut Egypt down and delivered the Israelites because he had inherited them, delivered them back to the land where he dwelled at, which is that region over where Israel at, the Mount Zion and that region of Levant. Okay? That answer your question?
Yes, it does. And that goes back to what you were saying before, we're not all one. That answers that too, because if the way you just broke that down, then if everyone is worshiping a different God, then we're not all one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
that
then
connects a lot. Yeah.
Right. So when he got the Israelites and brought them to the land of Canaan, the Canaanites was worshiping another El up in these mountains, in these high places. That's why they was going up there. So we told them, before you get there, don't worship the God they dealing with. Don't worship the angels, the Els they dealing with. You deal with me and heaven. But then they got there, and because they didn't destroy all the people, they ended up taking up their customs and started doing what they were doing. The same as over here. We got over here, they gave us another God over here that they concocted. And we worshiping the God, the God don't have nothing to do with us. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay. So I'm gonna play this right here. It's like it's a little warning, somewhat, because like I said, a lot of people not paying attention to these things. I'm gonna play this. Okay. Yeah, so like I was saying, those Canaanites and those 7 nations that was in the land of Israel was the offspring of these giants, or these angels that was on these mountains. So they were just going up getting information from their fathers, and that's how we ended up. When the Lord of hosts went and got us and brought us there, we ended up, because we didn't totally do what he said, was drive out all the people and utterly destroy them. We ended up allowing them to set up cities amongst us. The next thing you know, we ended up taking up their custom. So here we go, right here, the warning.
America's crash warning that a mass exodus is coming. I'm your host, Steve Van Meter, and thanks for joining me today. Bank of America is the first of the major banks to warn that more pain is coming for equity investors. Let's head over to Bloomberg, where we picked this story up. The Bank of America is hardened and sees pain and exit if the S&P 500 dips below 4,000. And a drop below 4,000 index points for the S&P 500 would be a tipping point, which could potentially trigger a mass exodus from equities, according to B of A strategists. Investors have already started fleeing stocks, with outflows from equity funds over the past 3 weeks, adding up to the worst since March of 2020. Well, and we know where they're not headed, at least not to bonds, not yet. The average S&P 500 entry point, keyword average, for this huge 1.1 trillion in inflows into the stock funds since the start of 2021 was around 4,274 index points, which means a pain and exit requires a drop below 4,000 points, according to a note by the strategists on Friday. Now, what do they mean by that? Why does that number mean anything? Well, first of all, it's just a line in the sand. It's just a psychological number. It doesn't mean they actually know that that's the number things will start to get worse. What they're suggesting is retail investors always sell when they're down, and if the market keeps going down, they believe that's about the number where the selling will start to ramp up. Let's take a look at that from a chart perspective. And here's the S&P 500 in this dashed purple line that you can see. This is that average entry point, meaning there were buyers above it and buyers well below it. And at this point, This solid purple line here is at 4,000, where Hartnett believes that if this line were to cross, that you're going to see a lot of people push the sell button, and that could cause stocks to tank. And this is worse since Nixon is annual.
Yeah, so what you're looking at, what the guy's telling you is that because of the economy and the way it's looking, all the people that, all the investors and all that are getting ready to run, you know. And like I said before about this, they were getting ready to start running to the banks and taking their money out of the bank. And if you understand anything about that, we know this happened in 2008 when Lehman Brothers kicked it off. And it was just so happened they printed all this money. That's the only thing saved it. But they're not in a position to do that this time. So it's not looking good. In comment. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go into the lesson. And it's the title of it is the restoration of worship, then and now. It's tied to, like I said, all things that's going on right now are actually was already prophesied about. I'm going to read some of that. But, so we at that point where it's the time is happening, and it's time for us to, prophesy deliverance. And it's a bunch of signs and events that's surrounding that. But like I was saying before, the Most High is always telling us to go back to days old. So we're going to pick this up and see what they did. Because we have to go back to the land. We got to restore our culture, which is entire. The temple was surrounding our culture. Our culture was surrounding the temple. And the priests, the Levites, and all them was tied to the temple. So all that had to come back. The flocks and the herds and all that stuff got to be restored. And looking at our condition right now, you're saying, wow, because we ain't possessing nothing. So we're gonna go to Ezra and look at how they done it. This template, because they was in the same predicament in Babylon as we are now. But we got to go back. We know we got to go back. So I'm in Ezra chapter 3. So if something come up you wanted to answer on, we can just say something. Chapter 3 is the restoration of the worship. When they came back from Babylon, it says, and when the 7th month was come, the children of Israel were in their cities. The people gathered themselves together as one man in Jerusalem. So we got to do the same thing. We ain't in our cities, but it's going to come a day we're going to be in our cities. So it says, then stood up Joshua, the son of Jozadak, and his brethren, the priest, and Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, and his brethren, and they builded the altar of God. First thing they did, build the altar of God of Israel to offer burnt offerings thereon. Now here you go. This is what I was showing you how when they did the typology, they got it all from right here. They just went back and seen how everything worked with us, and they just copied it over in the New Testament. So notice how he's saying that Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and his brethren, and they builded the altar of God of Israel. Excuse me. To offer burnt offerings thereupon, as it is written in the law of Moses, the man of God. That's where they get it from. They're always saying that over there. But notice he's telling us who it is, the man Moses. But over in the New Testament, they don't give you the prophet. Because what the Israelite gonna do is go back and see what their prophet actually said. You're gonna find out it's a lie. So they don't give you the prophet. They just say the prophet. As it is written by the prophet. They don't give you his name. So verse 3 says, and they set the altar upon its base, for fear was upon them because the people of those countries, and they offer burnt offerings thereon unto the Lord, even burnt offerings morning and evening, right? 4, they kept also the feast of the tabernacles, as it is written, and offered the daily burnt offerings by number, according to the customs, as the duty of every day required. And afterwards, the continual burnt offerings, both of the new moons and of the set feasts of the Lord that were consecrated, and of everyone that willingly offered offered a free will offering unto the Lord. On the first day of the 7th month began they to offer burnt offerings unto the Lord, but the foundation of the temple of the Lord was not yet laid. They gave money also unto the masons, and to the carpenters, and the meat, and the drink, and the oil unto them of Zidon, and unto them of Tyre, to bring cedar trees from Lebanon to the sea of Joppa, according to the grant that they had of Cyrus, king of Persia. So let's look at that. So we know that it's going to be people of other, some people, a remnant of the people of other nations that's going to come out with us, just like he had that remnant that came out of Israel, the mixed multitude that came out with Egypt, with Israel when they came out of Egypt. So what's the reason for that? It says right here, verse 6, Ezra chapter 3, verse 6. From the first day of the 7th month began they to offer burnt offerings unto the Lord. But the foundation of the temple of the Lord was not yet laid, right? So 7, they gave money also unto the masons, carpenters, and meat and drink and oil unto the Zidons, these the other nations, and to them of Tyre, to bring cedar trees from Lebanon to the sea of Joppa, according to the grant that they had that they had of Cyrus, king of Persia. Right? Okay. So then it says, now in the second year that they're coming up unto the house of God at Jerusalem in the 2nd month, begins Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, and Jesa the son of Jozadak, the remnant of their brethren the priests, and the Levites, and all they that will come out of the captivity unto Jerusalem, and appointed the Levites from the 20th year, from 20 years old and upward, to set forward the work of the house of the Lord. Then stood Joshua with his sons and his brethren, Kendall and his sons and the sons of Judah together, to set forward the work in the house of God. And the sons of Hadad with their sons and their brethren, the Levites, right? Give me a minute, man. Give me 1 minute. Okay, so it says in verse 6, Ezra chapter 3, verse 6 says, and from the first day of the 7th month began they to offer burnt offerings unto the Lord, but the foundation of the temple of the Lord was not yet laid. They gave money also unto the masons and unto the carpenters, and meat and drink and oil unto the Zidons, and unto them of Tyre, to bring cedar trees from Lebanon to the sea of Joppa, according to the grant that they had of Cyrus, king of Persia, right? So let's look at that, because you go back to First Chronicles. Let me see, yeah, First Chronicles. Let me get it. Yeah. First Kings, and it's when Solomon got ready to build a temple. So it says in chapter 2, verse 1, it says, now in the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, keep his statutes and his commandments, and his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the laws of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whatsoever thou turnest thyself, and the Lord may continue his word which he spake concerning me, saying, okay, yeah, saying, if thy children take heed to their way and walk before me with truth, with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail thee, said he, a man on the throne. Right? So then, okay. Yeah. So here goes chapter 21, Solomon's provisions for the temple. It says, and Solomon reigned over all the kingdom from the river unto the land of Philistines and unto the border of Egypt. And they brought presents and served Solomon all the days of his life. And Solomon's provisions for one day was 30 measures of fine flour, 60 measures of meal, 10 fat oxen, and 20 oxen out of the pastures, and 100 sheep, besides hearts, deer, fallow deer, and fattened fowl, for he had dominion over all the region on this side the river, from Tappers even unto Azar, over all the kings on this side of the river, and he had peace on all sides round about. Right? Let me get this right here. Yeah. Chapter 6, this is when it came to pass in the 408th year after the children of Israel would come out of the land of Egypt. In the 4th year, Solomon reigned over Israel in the month of Ziph, which is the second month that he began to build the house of the Lord, right? And the house which King Solomon built for the Lord, the length thereof was 3 cubits. We're not going to read that. It says, okay. It says 17, 1 Kings 6 and 17, and the house that is the temple before it was 40 cubits long, and the cedar of the house within was carved with knobs and open flowers. All was cedar, and there was no stone. So he got masons doing this. You got some Israelites doing it, but David had a relationship with the king of Tyre, and a lot of those men over there. If you go back to the Gentiles, you know, they go all the way back to Tubal-Cain. They was artisans. They knew how to fashion metal and all that. So all those men was brought there to help Solomon build his temple. David had already set it all up. And that's what I was saying about when we leave here, we got to go back and do the same thing. Well, we got to have people of other nations that's going to come with us to assist us in that. We're going to be in charge of it, but they're going to be assisting us as masons and laborers and, you know, people with different types of skills. So anyway, I'm back over here in Ezra chapter 3. I was just showing you how there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to that. So, yeah, so it says in verse 8, now in the second year of verse 8 of Ezra chapter 3, now in the second year of their coming unto the house of God at Jerusalem, in the second month, begins Zerubbabel the son of Sethel and Jeshua the son of Zodak, and a remnant of their brethren, the priests and the Levites, and all they that will come out of the captivity under Jerusalem, and appointed the Levites from 20 years old and upward to set forward the work of the house of the Lord. So let's look at that. So we see right here that got a king and a high priest, and it's a remnant, like we had talked about in Deuteronomy 28. He already told us he watched over, when he cast us out of the land, he watched over us for evil. And he that buzzing multitude that he promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he done denigrated it. It ain't but a small remnant left. We see right here is a remnant that came back after Babylon. So there's a remnant getting ready to come back now. So he says, and the remnant of their brethren, priests, the Levites, and all they will come out of captivity in Jerusalem. So we in captivity, and appointed the Levites. Yes, notice, appointed the Levites from 20 years old and upward to set forward the work. So these Levites, the priests and Levites, over this remnant of Gentiles, or the people of other nations, to guide them in the whatever we need to be done. Nothing new under the sun. 9. Then stood Joshua with his sons and his brethren, and Kimron and his sons and sons of Judah together. They set forward the workmen in the house of God, the sons of Henadad with their sons and their brethren, the Levites. So, like I said before, in Isaiah 44, 1-5, he said, thy seed and thy offspring. And we keep on getting crossed up with, talking to people that ain't Israelites, allowing them to come into our conversations and sidebar the conversation, because they love the hell out of this idol, and they're gonna no matter what you do, they're gonna bring that up, and it's happening because they ain't Israelites. You don't need to deal with them, conversate with them. They sidebar the conversation. So anyway, it says, 9 says, back to this DNA thing. Then stood Joshua with his sons, right? His lineage, and his brethren. And then he got a brother Kimron and his sons, and the sons of Judah. It's all offspring of Jacob. Together set forward the work of the house of the Lord. And the sons of Henadad with their sons and their brethren, the Levites. And when the builders laid, these other nations, when the builders laid the foundation of the temple of the Lord, they set the priests in their apparel with their trumpets, and the Levites, the sons of Asaph, with their cymbals, and to praise the Lord after the ordinance of David, king of Israel. So let's look at that verse 10. We're going to put it in perspective. So it says, and when the builders laid the foundation of the temple of the Lord, they set the priests in their apparel with the trumpets, right? So you got different gifts and talents amongst these Levites. So we got some with the trumpets, right? And the Levites, the sons of Asaph, we know who they are. They're the ones with the musically, right? To praise the Lord, and after the ordinance of David, the king of Israel. Notice they in Babylon, but the ordinances and everything that was set forth came from David. That's why he had to close up the breaches of David, the ruins of David, close up his breaches thereof, and rebuild Tabernacle of David, because it's all hinged off of what he done with David and all he set in motion, and what he gave David. Solomon was built the temple off of what David gave him, with the Lord that gave David. So verse 11 says, and they sang together by the course in praising and giving thanks unto the Lord, because he is God, for his mercy endured forever toward Israel. And all the people shouted with a great shout when they praised the Lord, because the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid. Many of the priests and the Levites and the chief of the fathers, who were ancient men, they had seen the first house, how the foundation of the house was laid before their eyes, and wept with a loud voice, and many shouted aloud for joy, so that the people could not discern the noise of the shout of the joy from the noise of the weeping of the people. For the people shouted with a loud shout, and the noise was heard afar. Okay, Then chapter 4. Now, when the adversaries, okay, this is what we're not dealing with either the way that we should. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on right here. When we see it at the close of chapter 3, they shouting and praising, they in the spirit, and they rejoicing, they back in the land. Well, chapter 4, it says, verse 1, the adversary, our adversary, Judah and Benjamin, they heard it. They heard the rejoicing. Like I was just saying, they gonna come, but they ain't in the same spirit we in. They gonna cyborg you because the spirit in them ain't the same spirit in you. So it says, now, when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity built the temple unto the Lord God of Israel, then they came. So let's look at that, man, because we set up on StreamYard and on Clubhouse, we post the title that we're gonna conversate about the things that's going on with us and what we need to do and all that. So they see the post, guess what? Here they come. And then when you get to flowing, because when you get Israelites together, righteous Israelites together, and they get to flowing and connecting dots, then here they come. And you have to understand it. Be aware of that. Discern between that. Anyway, it says, 2. Then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chiefs of the fathers and said unto them, let us build with you. See that? For we seek your God as you do. And we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Esron, king of Asher, which brought us up here. That's the 10 tribes. These people that he brought. He took out the 10 tribes and put some more people there. Now, they didn't attach themselves to Israel thinking they Israelites. So it says, but Zerubbabel and Joshua and the rest of the chiefs of the fathers of Israel. Let's look at it. But Zerubbabel, that's the king. Joshua, the high priest, right? These are people in charge. And the rest of the chiefs of the fathers of Israel said unto them. Notice who's doing the talking. Zerubbabel, Joshua, and the chiefs of the fathers of Israel said unto them, ye have nothing to do with us to build a house unto our God, but we ourselves together will build unto the Lord of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, have commanded us. Then the people of the land weaken the hands of the people. Now they hating on them. It's supposed to be expected. Then the people of the land weaken the hands of the people of Judah, troubled them in building, and hired counselors against them, and frustrated their purpose all the days of King Cyrus, king of Persia, even unto the reign of Darius, king of Persia. And in the reign of Darius, in the beginning of his reign, wrote they unto him an accusation against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem. And in the days of Darius wrote Bishlam and Mithra, Tebal, and the rest of their companions under Artaxerxes, king of Persia. And the writings, letters were written in Syrian tongue and interpreted in the Syrian tongue. Rehab, the chancellor, and I can't say his name, Shimshai, scribe, wrote letters against Jerusalem to Artaxerxes, king in this sort. So let's look at that. So we see in verse 7, it says, in the days of Darius wrote, these men right here, these ain't Israelites. Bishlam, Midrash, Tebal, and the rest of the companions, right? They got a problem with what they was doing, what Israel was doing. Israel was in the midst of them of prophecies that was on them. Those prophecies being fulfilled. They looking at them, and they got a problem with it. Well, let's look at it. Ain't nothing new under the sun, like I said. So I'm in Psalm 83, right? Psalm 83. Okay. Let's look at it. Psalm 83. So I'm in Psalm 83. This pertaining to us today. So look what they did. Keep not silent. This David talk, Asaph. Keep not silent, O God. Hold not thy peace. Be not still, O Lord, for lo thy enemies. See, these are our enemies right here. And over here, chapter 3, chapter 4 of Ezra, got enemies. Same people. It says, for lo thy enemies make a tumult. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and have consulted against thy hidden ones. So what's the crafty counsel? Well, let's look what they did over here. In chapter 4, it says, and in the days of Ahaz wrote. See that? They wrote. See that? Biscam, Midra, Tebal, and the rest of their companions unto Artaxerxes, king of Persia, and the writings of the letters was written in the Syrian tongue. So see that? So same thing they did over here. The people that did it in Psalm 83 is verse 6. The tabernacle of Edom, Ishmaelites, Moabites, the Hagarenes. We give you all them names. Gebal. So what they do? They went over and wrote. And hookwinked our scriptures. And wrote and came up with the New Testament. Same thing here. Right? 9. Then wrote Rehob, the count chancellor, Shema the scribe, and the rest of his companions, the Genites, the Arthrites, the Timishites, all these ites, you know, the 10, and the rest of the nations whom the great and noble Ashtaroth brought over and set in the cities of Samaria and the rest that are on this side of the river. And at that same time, this is a copy of the letter. See that? That they sent unto him, even unto Artaxerxes king, thy servant, the men of this side of the river. And at the same time, be it known unto the king that the Israelites, which came up from thee to us, are come unto Jerusalem, building rebellious and bad city, and have set up the walls thereof, and joined the foundation. That be it known now to the king that if this city be built and the walls set up again, then will they not pay toll, tribute, and customs, and so that so thou shalt damage the revenue of the king. So let's look at that. So we just read where they came running up there and told Joshua and Zerubbabel and the chiefs of the Israelites they wanted to help them build a temple. But because they was in order was in place in Israel, the men, Josiah, the high priest, Zerubbabel the king, and the chief of the fathers told them to get on about their business. So now they're trying to hinder the work. At first they were trying to help them. So like I said before, you set a class up or you get into a conversation on StreamYard or anywhere else, here they come. And I don't see no Israelites aware of that. Instead of trying to allow them to get into the conversation, and they started disrupting the conversation because the spirit they got. So anyway, it says 13, be it known. Well, they didn't went to the king now because all the way to Persia. Be it known unto the king that if this city be built and the wall set up again, then will they pay toll. Then will they not pay toll and customs. And so thou shalt damage the revenue of the king. Now, because we have maintenance from the king's palace, and it was not meet for us to see the king's dishonor, therefore have we sent and certified the king, that such may be made in the books of the records of thy fathers. So shalt thou find in the books the record, and know this city is a rebellious city, and hurtful unto kings and providences, that they have moved tradition within the same of old time, for which cause the city is destroyed. So guess what? We talking about the reparations and all that. Well, like I said, you see the migration already started. So you think they're finna help you leave and help you go back, help you do the same things Zerubbabel and them did right here? Hell no, they ain't finna help. So it says right here, verse 16, chapter 4 of Ezra. We certify the king that if this city be built, that let you know they ain't gonna help them build it. They don't want to build it. And the walls thereof set up. By this means thou shalt have no portion on this side of the river. Then sent the king an answer unto Real the chancellor, and to Shimshon the scribe, and to the rest of their companions that dwelled in Samaria, and unto the rest beyond the river, peace at such a time. The letter which ye sent unto us have been plainly read before me, and I commanded, and our search have been made and found that this city of old times have made insurrections against king, and that rebelled and sedition have been made therein. So let's look at it. It says, I already said that I commanded, and our search have been made, and it's found that this city of old times have made insurrections against king. So who is it that did these insurrections against the king? The Lord of hosts. All the Israelites doing what he told them to do. They're obeying his voice. So they in direct in the direct path and in direct violation against the Lord of hosts. Imagine that. So 20. There have been mighty kings also over Jerusalem, which have ruled over all the country beyond the river, and toll, tribute, and custom were paid unto them. Give ye now a commandment to cause these men to cease, and that the city be not builded until another commandment shall be given from them. Take heed now that ye fail not to do this. Why should damage grow to the hurt of the kings? Now, when the copy of the king Ahaz's letter was read before Real and Shimshon, scribe, and their companions, they went up in haste. They couldn't wait to Jerusalem, to the Israelites, and made them to cease by force and power. So let's look at that for the people that don't know what's going on right there. So we're in Daniel right quick. So they say right here in Daniel chapter 9, verse 25, that this was Jesus Christ. It says, know therefore and understand that from going forth for the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, they say that's Jesus Christ. The prince shall be 7 weeks, 62 weeks, the street shall be built again, and the wall in so through time. You can see right here that it's Zerubbabel and Josiah. See that? Zerubbabel and Josiah in verse let me get it. It's in verse chapter 5, verse 2 says, then rose up Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, and Joshua, son of Joel, and began to build the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem. And then we see right here that in chapter 4, verse 24, then ceased the work. So Zerubbabel is the Messiah. He's a king. All kings are anointed. That's all anointed means. So Zerubbabel is the Messiah. In Daniel 9:25, he says that he shall be cut off. 26, after 62 weeks shall the Messiah be cut off. He is cut off right here. After 4:24, then ceased the work of the house of God, which is at Jerusalem. So it ceased. See that? So it was cut off until the second year of the reign of Darius, king of Persia. That's what Daniel's talking about. It got nothing to do with the New Testament. So anyway, we're going to keep going. So they stopped it. They stopped it. And then we're going to pick it up in chapter 5. Then the prophet. This is what I was telling you about earlier. Then the prophet, Haggai. So we got a book of Haggai over here. Now we see that Haggai, the Haggai the prophet, and Zechariah the son of Edu prophesied unto the Israelites that were in Judea and Jerusalem in the name of God of Israel, even unto them. So Haggai and Zechariah is there with Ezra. when they rebuilding the temple. You got to know that. So they with him. Said, then rose up Zerubbabel, son of Shethar, and Joshua, son of Jodak, and they began to build the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem. And with them were the prophets, that Haggai and Zechariah of God, helping them. And at the same time came to them Tina, governor of this side, the river, and Shebanda and their companions, and said thus to them, who have commanded you to build this house and to make up this wall? See, every time they get started, they're going to be Gentiles. You're supposed to know that, right? Then said we unto them after this manner, what are the names of the men that make these buildings? But the eyes of their God was upon the elders of the Israelites, that they could not cause them to cease till the matter came to Darius. And then they returned answer by letters concerning this matter. The copy of the letter that Tina, governor on this side of the river, and Shethar Bonza, whatever his name, and his companions, the Ashkarites, which were on that side of the river, sent unto Darius the king. They sent a letter unto him, wherein was written thus, unto Darius the king, all peace. Be it known unto the king that we went in the province of Judah to the house of the great God, which is built with great stones and timber, is laid in the walls, and this work goes fast on and prospers in their hand. Then asked we those elders, and said unto them thus, who commanded you to build this house and to make up these walls? And we asked their names also to certify thee, that we might write the names of the men that were chief of them, right? Let me deal with this right quick. Just shine a light on it. So it says, chapter 5, verse 8, be it known. They wrote this letter again. It's another letter, second letter to the king. Be it known to the king that we went into the province of Judah to the house of the great God, which is built with great stones and timber, is laid in the wall, and this work goes fast on and prospers in their hand. So guess what? Most High prophesied about what's happening right now. So 5-10 years ago, Israelites started waking up. Look at what's happening now. It's out of control. It's like you see it right here. It's fast prospering. It's prospering. The whole everybody around looking, seeing us waking up. They're seeing more and more waking up. They see all the stuff happening. They see it, looking at it. It ain't nothing new. They're watching it right now. They're seeing that, it's gonna come a day we're gonna be out of here. It's prospering right in front of their face. So it says, verse 11, and thus they return unto us our answer, saying, we are the servants of God of heaven and the earth, and build the house that was built these many years ago, which the great king of Israel built it and set up. But after that, our fathers had provoked the God of heaven unto wrath. He gave them into the hands of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, the Chaldeans, who destroyed his house and carried the people away into Babylon. But in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, king of Babylon, that the same king Cyrus made a decree, right, to build this house of God, and its vessels also of gold and silver of the house of God. Nebuchadnezzar took out a temple that was in Jerusalem and brought them into the temple of Babylon. Those that Cyrus, king of Persia, take the temple of Babylon, and they were delivered unto one whose name was Sheshbazzar, whom he had made governor, and said unto him, take these vessels, go carry them into the temple that is in Jerusalem, and let the house of God be built in its place. Then came the same Sheshbazzar, and laid the foundation of the house of God, which is in Jerusalem. And since that time, even unto now, have it been in building, and yet it is not finished. Now therefore, if it seem good to the king, let there be a search made of the king's treasure house, which is in Babylon, whether it be so that a decree was made of Cyrus, king of Persia, to build this house of God at Jerusalem, right? And let the king send his pleasure to us concerning this matter, right? Okay, verse chapter 6. Darius confirmed the decree of Cyrus. Then Darius king made a decree, and a shape was made in the house of gold where the treasure was laid up in Babylon. And there was found at Media in the palace that is in the province of Medes, a roll, and therein was a rep thus written. In the first year of Cyrus, king, the same Cyrus, the king made a decree concerning the house of God at Jerusalem. Let the house be builded, the place where they offered sacrifices, and let the foundation thereof be strongly laid, the height thereof 3 cubits, and the breadth thereof 3 cubits, 3 cubits, with 3 rolls of great stones and a roll of new timber, and let the expenses be given out of the king's house. And also let the golden and silver vessels of the house of God, which Nebuchadnezzar took forth out of the temple which is in Jerusalem and brought unto Babylon, be restored and brought again unto the temple which is Jerusalem, every one to his place, and place them in the house of God. Now therefore, Tatna, governor beyond the river, Shimbaza or whatever, and your companions, the Arphrites which are beyond the river, be ye far from thence, and let the work of this house of God alone, and let the governor of the Israelites and the elders of the Jews build this house of God in this place. Moreover, so he told them to get, right? Said, moreover, I make a decree. So now Darius making a decree to combat Cyrus' decree. Moreover, I make a decree that ye shall do to the elders of the Israelites for the building of this house of God, that of the king is good, even the tribute beyond the river, for with expense be given unto these men, that they be not him in that which they have need of, both young bullocks, rams, lambs, for the burnt offerings of the God of heaven, wheat, salt, wine, and all according to the appointment of the priests, which are at Jerusalem. Let it be given them day by day without fail. So look what happened. They right now was trying to cut off the Israelites, and he didn't turn around and told them, you gonna provide the rams and lambs and the goats and all that for them. He didn't throw them in a trick bag. See that? Says in then verse 10, that they may offer sacrifices of sweet savor unto the God of heaven, and pray for the life of the king and of his sons. Also I have made a decree that whosoever shall alter this word, let timber be pulled down from his house, and being set up, let him be hanged thereon, and let his house be made dunghill for this. And the God that hath caused his name to dwell there, destroy all the kings and the people that shall put to their hand to alter and destroy this house of God, which is at Jerusalem. I, Darius, have made a decree, and let it be done with speed, like the intendant governor of this side of the river, and Shebazah and their companions, according to that which Darius, king, had sent, so did they speedily, and the elders of the Jews builded it, and they prospered through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Edu, and they builded and finished it according to the commandment of God and according to the commandment of Cyrus and Darius and Ahaz, king of Persia. And this house was finished on the 3rd day of the month, Adar, which was in the 6th year of the reign of Darius king. It says, and the children of Israel, the priests and the Levites, and the rest of the children of the captivity kept the dedication of this house of God with joy. And they offered at the dedication of this house of God hundreds of bullocks, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and for a sin offering for all Israel, 12 he-goats, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. And they set the priests in their division and the Levites in their courses for the service of God, which is in Jerusalem, as it is written in the book of Moses. And the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month. For the priests and the Levites were purified together, and they were pure, and they killed the Passover for all the children of the captivity, and for their brethren the priests, and for themselves. And the children of Israel will come again out of the captivity, and all such as had separated themselves unto them from the filthiness of the heathen of the land, to seek the Lord God of Israel did eat. And they kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with joy, for the Lord had made them joyful, and turned their hearts of the king of Assyria unto them, to strengthen their hands in the work of the house of God, the God of Israel. Okay. So let that friend make him. Okay, anybody got any comments on that so far? Anybody got any comments on that? What's up, Bruce? Yeah, so we see right here, well, all the hindrances and everybody against the Israelites going back to, to do what their God told them to do, and set in motion. They're not dealing with. They don't see, like he just told us. They don't see this God. But these Israelites, the chief fathers and all them, they see him and they dealing with him and they doing they trying to do what he say do. But you got all these hindrances all over the place trying to cut us off. Just like today, look at the obstacles that's in the way today. You got a whole race of people over there in the land of Israel posing as Israelites. They don't, and prophecy unfolding, but they trying to hinder it. They trying to cut it off. They got all the wealth. They done stole all the money. We don't have no money. None of that. And they trying to cut it out. They done hoodwinked the books, and then now we finally waking up, rightly dividing the word, and they hindering all these hindrances all over the place. Trying to cut us off. It ain't, like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. But like we know, our God, like they said, the God that's in Jerusalem, the God that's in Israel, in Mount Zion, he's a living God. He's alive. And he's going to do all this. It ain't nothing that we have to do. So let's look at it. We see right here, all they doing, the Most High behind this Lord host behind the scenes, flipping all of it. They trying to cut it off, but he started flipping it. So let's look at Isaiah right quick. Prophecy that's pertaining to us today. We see our predicament, but let's look at what's been prophesied. The same God, strong one, that flipped the script then, he's gonna flip it now. So let's look at it. In chapter 60, starting at verse 1, it says, "Arise, shine, for thy light is come," right? It's been prophesied. "And the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee," right? Rise has risen upon thee. "For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee." They see that. They already see it. "And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to the brightness of thy rising." Well, let's look at that right there. Because Most High destroyed the whole earth in Genesis chapter 1. Before Genesis chapter 1, he destroyed everything, and everything was dark. So when we pick it up in Genesis 1:1, he shine a light on the earth, right? He returned to the earth. Well, guess what? the fallen angels came to the light. Let's look at that. I'm in chapter 2, chapter 60, Isaiah, verse 2. We've been in darkness 2,500 years at the most, least. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth, gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. So now he's shining a light on us. But guess what? And the Gentiles shall come to the light. Yeah, these towns come to the light. When you shine a light on the dark and on us in darkness, and the light on us now, here they come. See that? It says, and the Gentiles shall come to thy light, the kings to the brightness of thy rise. Nothing new in the sun. When he shine a light in Genesis chapter 1, return to the earth, Lucifer came. Samuel and these wicked ass angels came. Supposed to be expecting it. So 4, lift up thine eyes round about and see all they gather together, they come to thee. Thy son shall come from afar, and thy daughters shall be nursed at thy side. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. The multitude of thy Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I got some few pressing issues, so y'all gotta disregard that. Says, for behold, let me see what was it. Says, verse 5, then thou shalt see. I'm gonna start at 4, 60 and 4. Lift up thine eyes round about and see. All they gather themselves together, they come to thee. Thy sons shall come from afar, and thy daughters shall be nursed upon thy side. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. See that? Now look at this. 6, the multitude of camel shall cover thee. The drummery of Midian and Ephah, all they from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold, incense, and they shall flow. They shall show forward the praises of the Lord. So we see right here, the Gentiles had to cough up all the gold and the silver. They had to cough up the rams and the he goats. Well, let's go back what we just said. I'm in chapter 6, and these people of the land, the Israelites that came back from Babylon. They're trying to stop them from rebuilding the temple. And so we pick it up in chapter 6, Ezra, verse 6. Darius writing a letter back to them. He done looked into the archives. He found out that Cyrus indeed gave them a commandment to go back and build a temple. So he pick it up in verse 7 of chapter 6. It says, Darius says, let the work of this house of God alone. Let the governors of the Israelites and the Israelites of the Jews build this house of God in its place. Then moreover, I make a decree. Look at this. What ye shall do to the elders of these Israelites for the building of the house of God, that of the king's goods, even the tribute beyond the river, for which expenses be given unto these men, that ye be not hindered, that ye not hindered. So we turn around and said, all them kings on that that was around there, they was paying tribute to Darius. Darius said, I tell you what, take that tribute that you got to give to me and go take it to them and give it to them. And then not only that, he says in verse 9, and that which they have need of, both of bullocks. See that? I told you these animals right here, domestic animals, is connected to Israel at the hip. They need them to sacrifice to their God. So he says, and that which ye have need of, both young bullocks, rams, lambs, for burnt offerings of the God of heaven, wheat, salt, wine, oil, according to the appointment of the priests, which are at Jerusalem, let it be given to them day by day without fail. So now he got them on blast. Now you got to sit around and wait. Pay attention to what these Israelites need, and whatever they need, they got to provide it. You can flip the script. Ain't no different than what I just read. What's getting ready to happen? It already started. See that? The 10, that they may offer. See that? That's why we in a predicament we in. We ain't offering. We ain't offering no sacrifices. We ain't got no rams. We ain't got no goats. That's why we catching hell. So he says, 10, that they may offer sacrifices, a sweet savor unto the God of heaven, and pray for the life of the king and his son. So let's look at that. We was in Israel, right? And what happened? We had to leave. The Pharaoh said, they're going to, they can go, but they're going to have to leave these rams and these bullocks and all that here. And Moses said, no, we can't leave the rams. We can't leave that. We got to take all that with us because we got to go out in the wilderness and we got to sacrifice our God. Guess what happened? They left and spoiled the Egyptians. They got gold, silver, everything they needed. Same thing right here in Ezra. And the same thing getting ready to happen in chapter 60. There's nothing new under the sun. So, anybody got any comments on that? Because what I'm gonna read now, I'm gonna go to the Apocrypha. I'm gonna show you that in here where it was prophesied that he was gonna have the stuff that we see happening right now was indeed it was already prophesied. So I'm gonna read and second Ezra, I think it is. Second Ezra, yeah. Second Ezra. It is second Ezra. Let me read this. I'll give you the verse in a minute. So it says, this is chapter 5 of second Ezra, and these are the signs. He already gave us signs that we know where we at the end, that we're getting ready to be delivered. And here go the signs right here. He says, now concerning the signs, lo, the days are coming when those who inhabit the earth shall be seized with a great terror, and the way of truth shall be hidden, right? And the land shall be barren of faith. Unrighteousness shall increase beyond what you yourself see, and beyond what you heard of formerly. And the land that you know now see ruling shall be a trackless waste. That's what it is. That's what the land Israel is right now. Over there in the naked desert. That's what it really is right here. Ain't nothing there. That is deserted. It's deserted. It says, unrighteousness shall be increased beyond what you see and beyond what you heard of formerly. And the land that you now see ruling shall be a trackless waste. People shall see it desolate. But if the Most High grants that you live, you shall see it thrown into confusion after the third period, and the sun shall suddenly begin to shine at night, and the moon during the day. Blood shall drip from wood, and the stone shall utter its voice, and the people shall be troubled, and the stars shall fall, and one shall reign whom those who inhabit the earth do not expect, and the birds shall fly away together, and the Dead Sea shall cast up fish, and one whom many do not know shall make his voice heard by night, and all shall hear his voice, and there shall be chaos also in many places. Fire shall often break out, and the wild animals shall roam beyond their hearts. All this happening. And the minstrel's woman shall bring forth monsters. Salt water shall be found in sweet water, and all friends shall conquer one another. Then shall reason hide itself, and wisdom shall withdraw into the chamber, and it shall be sought by many, but shall not be found. And unrighteousness and unrestraint shall increase in the earth. One country shall ask its neighbor, has righteousness or anyone who does right pass through you? And it will answer no. At that time people shall hope, but not obtain. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. These are the signs that I am permitted to tell you. And if you pray again and weep as you do now, and fast for 7 days, you shall hear yet greater things than this. So he's giving them some of the signs of what's going to happen. We're looking at right now, all this stuff is happening. Right? Okay. Go to chapter 12. This is about the truth right here. It says, I'm going to start reading in chapter 6, verse 11. It says, and I answered and said, O sovereign Lord, if I have found favor in thy sight, show your servant the last of your signs of which you showed me a part on a previous night. And he answered and said unto me, rise to your feet, and you will hear a full resounding voice. And if the place where you are standing is greatly shaken while the voice is speaking, do not be terrified, because the words concern the end. And the foundation of the earth will understand that the speech concerns them. They will tremble and be shaken, for they know that the end must be changed. When I heard this, I got to my feet and listened. The voice was speaking, and its sound was like the sound of a mighty waters. You know what that is? It said, the days are coming when I will draw near to visit the inhabitants of the earth. So that's where we at. When I require from the doers of iniquity the penalty of their iniquity, and when the humiliation of Zion is complete, right? When the seal is placed upon the age that it is about to pass away, then will I show these signs. Look at this. The book shall be opened before face of the firmament, and all shall see my judgment together. Children a year old shall speak with their voices. Pregnant women shall give birth to premature children at 3 and 4 months, and these shall live and leap about. Sown places shall suddenly appear unsown, and full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. We're looking at that big time. The trumpet shall sound loud, and when all hear it, they shall suddenly be terrified. At that time, friends shall make war on friends like enemies. The earth and those who inhabit it shall be terrified, and the springs of the foundation shall stand still, so as that for 3 hours they shall not flow. And it shall be, whosoever remain after all that I have foretold to you shall be saved, and shall see my salvation and the end of my world. And it shall see those who were taken up, that Enoch, Elijah, right, who from their birth have not tasted death, and the heart of the earth inhabitant shall be changed and converted, this is Ezekiel 37, to a different spirit, for evil shall be blotted out. Look at this. And deceit shall be quenched, faithfulness shall flourish, and corruption shall be overcome, right? And the truth, which has been so long without fruit, shall be revealed. That's where we at. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay. Anybody have more comments? We're gonna I'm gonna cut it off right there. Anybody got any comments on anything or something they want to say before we go? Okay. Everybody good? Let me get this. Yeah, so we're gonna be here tonight for the evening Sabbath class at 6 o'clock. Okay. And I'm planning on doing something tomorrow at probably around. I haven't really found out yet, but I'm gonna post it on Clubhouse. Give a class. If anybody want to join it. See? Yeah, I'm having problems with my computer, so I'm gonna say shalom. And I'll see everybody tonight at 6 o'clock. Shalom.
Shalom.